Story number 1, off-grid. Sarah booked the tiny home because she wanted a quiet weekend. No noise, no neighbors, no cell service. Just trees, a fire pit, and a single narrow cabin tucked into the woods like it had been forgotten there. At first, it was perfect. Then I started seeing him. The first time, Sarah was in the bathroom, and I was standing by the kitchen window with a beer in my hand. There was a man at the tree line. He wasn't walking. He wasn't doing anything at all. Just standing there between two trunks, half hidden by brush, facing the cabin. I watched him for maybe 3 seconds. Then Sarah called my name from the bathroom, and when I looked back outside, he was gone. I told myself I'd imagined it. I didn't mention it to Sarah. We were only an hour into the trip, and I didn't want to be that guy. The anxious one. The one who ruins a weekend because he thinks he saw something in the woods. Sarah came out of the bathroom smiling, hair up, sweatshirt hanging off one shoulder. "Come on," she said. "I brought snacks. Let's watch that dumb movie you like." So we did. We curled up on the couch under a blanket that smelled clean and faintly like pine. The tiny home had one big window looking out into the dark trees, but the glass reflected the room more than it showed the woods. Every time I glanced at it, I saw our own shapes before anything outside. It felt normal again. For a while. Then Sarah got up to get more ice from the little freezer in the loft area, and I saw him again. Same spot, same stillness. This time I stood up too fast and knocked my drink onto the rug. By the time I reached the window, there was only the tree line and the dark between the trunks. Sarah came back down holding the ice tray. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," I said. She looked at the spilled drink. "That doesn't look like nothing. Just clumsy." She gave me a look like she didn't believe me, but she let it go. We went to bed early. The bedroom was barely a bedroom, really just a loft with a low ceiling and a small window over the bed. The woods pressed in close on every side. I remember lying there listening to the heater click and the trees moving against each other outside. Sarah fell asleep quickly. I didn't. The next morning, Sarah made coffee in the little kitchen while I stood at the front door and looked out. No man, just trees, wet grass, and a narrow dirt drive that led back to the main road. Sarah came up behind me and wrapped her arms around my waist. "You're tense," she said. "Didn't sleep great." She kissed my shoulder. "Weekend getaway. Relax." I tried. I really did. We hiked for a while on a trail that looped behind the property, then came back and made grilled cheese for lunch. We sat outside on the tiny deck with our plates and pretended it was some kind of perfect escape. But every time Sarah went into the bathroom or upstairs to change or into the little back room to get a charger, I saw him. Always at the edge of the woods. Always standing still. And every time I looked again, he was gone. By late afternoon, I'd stopped pretending I was fine. I was watching the tree line too often. Sarah noticed. "Can you stop doing that?" she said. "Doing what?" "Looking around like someone's about to jump out and kill us." "No one said that." "You don't have to say it," she snapped. "It's exhausting." I didn't answer. They made it worse. She went into the bedroom to change, and I stayed in the kitchen with my hands on the counter, listening to the floorboards creak above me. Then I saw him again. Not outside the window this time. In the reflection, a man standing behind me in the glass. I spun around so fast I nearly fell. Nothing. Just the empty room, the sink, the fridge, the open bathroom door. Sarah came back downstairs and saw my face. "What now?" I swallowed. "I saw somebody." She stared at me for a second, then laughed once, sharply. "In the window?" "Yes." "Outside?" "I don't know. He keeps showing up." She crossed her arms. "You've been doing this all day." "I'm serious, Sarah. You're making this weekend weird." "I'm making it weird?" She shook her head, frustrated now. "There is no man. There's just trees. You keep seeing things and then acting like I'm crazy for not seeing them too." I wanted to tell her I wasn't trying to scare her. I wanted to tell her I was scared. Instead, I said nothing because every time I did, she looked at me like I was building a problem out of air. That night, after we washed the dishes and turned off most of the lights, there was a knock at the front door. We both froze. It came again. 3 soft taps. Sarah looked at me, annoyed before she was even afraid. "What?" I didn't hear anyone come up. She sighed, grabbed the little flashlight from the counter, and went to the door. I followed her. When she opened it, there was nothing there. The porch light threw a weak yellow circle across the steps and the dirt path beyond it. No car. No movement. No one in the yard. Then Sarah looked down. There was a small handmade gift bag sitting on the doorstep. It was made from brown paper and tied shut with twine. She picked it up slowly, like she didn't like touching it. Inside was a folded scrap of cloth, some pine cones wrapped in string, and a Polaroid. Sarah turned the photo over. Then she went completely still. "What is it?" I asked. She didn't answer. I took the Polaroid from her hand. It was us. Sarah and I slept in the loft bed from the night before. Taken from above us. Taken close. I could see the outline of the pillow, the blanket pulled up to Sarah's shoulder, the side of my face turned into mattress. We had both been asleep. The photo was still developing in my hand. I remember the sound Sarah made then. Not a scream, just a short, broken noise like she'd forgotten how to breathe. We slammed the door and locked it. Then we locked the window. Then the back door. It didn't matter. Something thudded against the side of the tiny home. Once. Then again. Not hard enough to break in. Just enough to let us know it was there. Sarah started crying quietly, angrily, like she was still trying not to admit what was happening. "Get the keys," I said. "What?" "We're leaving." She stared at me. "Right now?" "Yes." Another sound from outside, this time closer to the front steps. A slow scrape across the porch. Sarah grabbed her jacket and the keys from the hook by the door. I took the flashlight and the little kitchen knife from the drawer, which felt useless the second I held it. The car was parked at the end of the gravel drive. Not far, maybe 50 yards. In daylight, it would have been nothing. In the dark, with the woods pressing in on both sides and no phone service, it felt like crossing a field. We opened the door together. Cold air hit us hard. The porch light buzzed above our heads, weak and yellow. Beyond it, the woods were black. Sarah held onto my sleeve. We stepped off the porch. That's when I saw him. Not at the tree line. Closer. A shape between the trunks, barely visible, standing where the flashlight couldn't quite reach. Sarah saw me stop. "Don't," she whispered. "Go to the car," I said. "Come on." We moved fast after that. Too fast. The gravel shifted under our shoes. Branches clawed at our shoulders. Every sound seemed too loud. The flashlight jumped in my hand, catching pieces of bark, patches of brush, the narrow, silver line of the drive. Then I heard footsteps behind us. Not running, just following. Sarah started to panic then, really panic. Her breathing got sharp and broken, and she kept saying, "No, no, no," under her breath like that could turn the whole thing back into a bad joke. The car was there, still a dark shape in the driveway. I fumbled for the key fob. Nothing. Again. The click of the lock sounded tiny and helpless in the woods. The car lights flashed once, and in that brief white blink, I saw him standing behind the passenger side, close enough that I could make out his face, or where his face should have been. Sarah made a sound beside me and started backing up. I grabbed her wrist. "Get in," I said. The driver's door was already open. I had no idea if we were being allowed to get in, or if we were exactly where he wanted us. ##, ending. Sarah shoved into the passenger seat. I got behind the wheel, hands shaking so badly I could barely turn the key. The engine coughed once, then died. From the woods, just beyond the edge of the headlights, something moved. Slowly, deliberately. I looked up and saw him standing at the tree line again, watching us like he had all the time in the world. Then the passenger window tapped once. Softly, like a knuckle against glass. Sarah started screaming, and I finally understood the worst part. He hadn't been outside the cabin. He had been waiting for us to leave it. Story number 2, late night roadside. We were 2 hours from home, cutting through back roads to avoid traffic. When Jake saw the Scenic Overlook sign at mile marker 47, he suggested we stretch our legs. It was 11:47 p.m., and I was exhausted, but he'd been driving for 3 hours straight. The parking lot was empty. Just gravel, a wooden railing, and beyond that, black nothing dropping into a valley we couldn't see. Jake got out first, rolling his shoulders and walking toward the edge to look out over the darkness. I stayed in the passenger seat, scrolling my phone, barely getting signal. The air smelled like pine and wet asphalt. It was quiet. Too quiet. No crickets. No wind. Just the hum of our engine idling. Then I heard the second engine. A truck, old, loud, with a primer-spotted hood, pulled into the lot fast, headlights washing over us. It didn't park in one of the empty spots. It parked directly behind us, maybe 3 feet from our bumper, boxing us in completely. A man and a woman got out, both in their 40s, maybe. Jeans, flannel. The man had a thick beard and walked with a limp. The woman was thin, wiry, with her hair pulled back tight. And both of them were smiling. Wide. Too wide. "Hey there," the man called out, waving like we were old friends. He walked straight toward Jake, who was still standing near the railing. "You folks got jumper cables? Our battery's about dead." Jake looked back at me, confused. Our car was still running. The woman didn't go to their truck. She leaned against our hood, arms crossed, staring directly at me through the windshield. Her smile didn't move, didn't blink. Jake cleared his throat. "Sorry, man. We don't have any." The guy tilted his head. "You sure? Mind if we just check your trunk real quick? Won't take a second." Jake stiffened. "We're good. We gotta go." He started walking back toward the driver's door. The woman stepped in front of it, blocking his path. Come on now," she said softly. "Don't be rude. We just need a little help." That's when I locked the doors. All of them. The click echoed in the silence. Jake pulled the handle, locked. He looked at me through the glass, confused. Then his face changed. He realized I'd done it on purpose. The man stepped closer to him, still smiling. "Your girl's a smart one." "Huh? But we just need a minute of your time. That's all. Just a minute." Jake didn't answer. He backed toward my side of the car, eyes on the man. I reached over and unlocked his door. He dove in and slammed it behind him, locking it again immediately. His hands were shaking. "What the hell?" he started, but I cut him off. "Just go. Just drive." He threw the car in reverse. The truck was too close. Maybe 6 inches of clearance. He couldn't back up without hitting it. He shifted to drive. The man stepped in front of the car. Not quickly, slowly, deliberately. He put both palms on the hood and leaned forward, looking right at us through the windshield. Then he raised his right hand. He was holding something metallic. A wrench, maybe a tire iron. And he tapped it on the hood. Once, twice, 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. Slow, rhythmic, like a knock. The woman circled around to Jake's window and did the same thing. Tap, tap, tap. She wasn't hitting it hard. She wasn't trying to break the glass. She was just letting us know she could. "What do they want?" Jake whispered, his voice cracking. "I don't know." The man bent lower, his face inches from the windshield, his breath fogging the glass. He mouthed something I couldn't hear. Then he smiled again and stepped to the side, waving us forward with the wrench. The woman moved too. There was just enough space, barely, to squeeze through. Jake looked at me. I nodded. He floored it. We clipped the side mirror of their truck and fishtailed onto the road, gravel spraying behind us. Jake's knuckles were white on the wheel. I turned around in my seat, looking through the back window. For a few seconds, the parking lot was empty. Just the truck, sitting there in the dark. Then the headlights came on. "Jake, I see them." The truck pulled out onto the road behind us. But it didn't speed up. It didn't try to catch us. It just stayed there, exactly 3 car lengths back. No closer, no farther. Jake pushed the accelerator. We hit 70 on a 2-lane road with no streetlights. The truck kept pace. 80, still there. The road curved and dipped, winding through dense forest on both sides. No houses, no gas stations, just trees and darkness and that pair of headlights in the mirror, never gaining, never falling back. "Why aren't they passing us?" I asked. "I don't know. Why aren't they trying to catch us?" "I don't know." My phone buzzed. 1 bar of signal. I tried to dial 911. It rang twice, then dropped. I tried again. Nothing. The truck's high beams flicked on. The cabin filled with white light. I covered my eyes. Jake squinted, swerving slightly. Then the high beams cut off. Back to normal. 3 car lengths. "Steady. They're playing with us," I whispered. Jake didn't answer. His jaw was clenched. Sweat beaded on his forehead. For 11 miles, that truck followed us. We passed a boarded-up gas station, a burned-out barn, a rusted-out school bus sitting in a field. Nothing alive, nothing open, just us and them and the road. Then, finally, I saw lights ahead. Real lights, street lights, the interstate overpass. "There," I said, pointing. "Get on the highway. There'll be people. Jake merged onto the interstate, cutting across 2 lanes. I looked back. The truck slowed. It pulled onto the shoulder just before the on-ramp and stopped. The headlights stayed on. I could see the silhouettes of both of them, still sitting inside, watching us disappear into traffic. We didn't speak the rest of the drive. When we got home, Jake parked in our driveway and just sat there, staring straight ahead. I got out first. My legs felt weak. I walked around to his side of the car, and that's when I saw them. Scratches. Fresh ones. Around both door handles. Thin, metallic grooves in the paint, like someone had tried to pry the doors open. But we'd been in the car the whole time. We'd been moving. Jake saw them too. He crouched down, running his fingers over the marks. Then he looked up at me, his face pale. When he whispered, I didn't answer, because I didn't know, but I thought about the tapping, the metallic tapping on the glass. And I wondered if they'd been testing more than just our fear. If they'd been testing the locks, the handles, seeing how easy we'd be to open. We went inside and locked every door, every window. I didn't sleep, and every time a car passed our house that night, I checked the window to make sure it wasn't a truck. It never was. But 2 weeks later, Jake checked the mail and found a Polaroid tucked inside the electric bill. No envelope, no note, just a photo. It was our car, parked at that Overlook, taken from behind. You could just barely see the back of my head in the passenger seat. The timestamp on the back read 11:51 p.m. For minutes after we'd arrived.